Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur TV show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. Now let's get into it. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. You can also follow the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur fan page, and you can follow me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Now listen to this. I am a monster. That's what a Waterford man said, and he gets 50 years in prison for making child porn and even blackmailing the children. Talk about nefarious. So a 28-year-old man from Waterford, Michigan will spend the next 50 years of his life in a federal prison after pleading guilty to making child pornography. Justin Deska was sentenced in a U.S. District Court this week to 50 years in a federal prison after he admitted to making child porn and committing a crime against a child while being a registered sex offender. So he had a history of doing this. Now, according to court records, Deska sexually exploited at least 10 different children in different ways. United States Attorney Dawn N. Eisen detailed some of the offenses that Deska admitted to doing. One of which was the sexual assault of a 7-year-old boy whom he knew well, according to Eisen. Now, Deska recorded the abuse and then shared it with others on the dark web. Sick, perverted freaks. This is why you have to always be paying attention to your children and who they're talking to on their phones and on the internet, because there's a whole bunch of people like him out there. And pay attention. He not only made this filth, but he shared it on the internet, on the dark web, with many of freaks just like himself. So additionally, Deska used a fake persona to convince multiple teenage boys to make sexually explicit images and videos of themselves and then send them to him. Now, once he had the videos or images in his possession, he would then blackmail the victims into making more child porn for him. It's also sad and pathetic. He then took it even further, according to Eisen, by trying to extort the children further by attempting to get them to commit sex acts on their own siblings. What kind of depraved, sick, insidiously disgusting person is he? He's right. He absolutely is a monster. Actually, he's more of a demon, if you ask me. Now, Deska was a member of multiple groups on the dark web, an open web that traded child pornography. Some of the communication between Deska and members was recovered, including a series of messages where Deska said, "Yes, I am sick, and yes, I am a monster." So he knew he needed help, but didn't try to get any. That's what these freaks and perverts do. According to Eisen, Deska committed the crimes while being on parole for a previous offense of distributing child pornography and was also a registered sex offender. And here's the thing. That's not a shock to me. It's not a shock at all, because I've often said that these pedophiles, there's no way to rehabilitate them. There's just no way. That is just who and what they are. Just as you could say someone's a heterosexual or a homosexual, that's who you are. That's what you desire sexually. So when you have these perverts and these freaks who are out here molesting people's children, that's just who they are. That's something that they refuse to stop. And so they need to get life sentences. They don't ever need to be allowed to walk free again. Pay attention. He was on parole and he was still doing the same thing that he was on parole for. So make that make sense. Clearly, he's a whole freak. And so they go on to say the actions of this defendant are reprehensible and demonstrate how a sexual predator can use the internet to victimize innocent children. The lengthy sentence in this case will ensure that Deska will never be able to harm a child again. It should send a clear message that those who prey on our most vulnerable citizens will be held accountable. We also hope this sentence helps to bring closure to the victims as well as their families. Well, I'm going to tell you like this. That's good, and I'm so thrilled and glad that he's caught and he's going back to prison where he definitely belongs. But he should have never been let out in the first place. He should never have been paroled. People like him, yeah, they should never be allowed to walk the streets and roam free again. And parents have to do their due diligence to make sure that they're checking the history on their children's computers and that they're being inquisitive about who their children are talking to, because these people are very slick. These depraved devils will do and say anything to get what they want. And they're very good and crafty at grooming people's children. And often, a lot of times, some of them will do things like, they'll get jobs that put them in close proximity to children. A lot of them will be teachers, camp counselors, work for Boys or Girl Scouts. They'll do all sorts of things, right? Camp counselors, you name it, just so they can, daycare workers, just so they can be around and have access to people's children. Some of them even befriend other adults who have children just so they can get close to them, so they can then get close to their children and gain the person as well as the children's trust. And these are the type of things that they do. So you have to be careful. You can never be too careful as far as I'm concerned when it comes to your children. I'm glad this devil got 50 years, but he shouldn't have gotten a death penalty. I wouldn't shed a tear. All people like him don't deserve to be walking around roaming free, victimizing children. And then the nerve of him to blackmail them. This is what he was doing, blackmailing these poor children. Do you know how humiliating that must have been for them? And they will likely be traumatized for the rest of their lives. And who's going to help them with that? Oh, sure, they can get counseling, but that's those lasting memories of the things that happened to them. They're going to always hold that with them. It's just all so sad. And, sadly, when these things happen, when children are molested and all those things, sometimes it messes with their psyche. It messes with their psyche. And also, it sometimes makes them become the same as the predators who victimized them in the first place. I mean, R. Kelly is a prime example of that. He was molested at the age of 6 until I believe the age of 10. And then he turned out to be a whole depraved, perverted pedophile and freak himself. So I'm just saying, honey, the ramifications of this can be ghastly. So, I just implore everyone to make sure you're following your children's social media accounts and watching what they're doing and who they're talking to and asking questions, right? And checking their phones and all of that. Because these people are slick. They'll get children to keep these secrets, and sometimes they'll threaten them with harm or harming their family. And then they'll also, groom them to get the child's trust. And then they start telling the child all kinds of lies to keep them from saying anything about it or going to someone, another adult or whatever. So anyway, with that all being said, please like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. You can also follow the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur fan page. And you can follow me on Twitter at DGoddess27. All right. Peace.